Hey!
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. Welcome to our Brew Better series, hanging out with Jessica and I. Oh man, this is exciting. I know we've been doing this now for what, 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah.
And we're excited to be with you again this morning.
And we're especially excited because today we're going to be making some spring-inspired drinks. So I'm especially really stoked about this episode just because we're going to share a few recipes with you that you can make at home in your kitchen.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Or by the campfire.
Or by the campfire, or by the bonfire in the backyard if you're not going camping. Anything.
Exactly.
The world is your oyster.
So I'm going to get us some water. And you can kind of fill them in a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely. So ultimately what we were trying to get done today is to be able to make some lattes or flavored coffee that you can make at home easily with some stuff that you have in your own cupboards, or something that's really simple to go grab at the supermarket. So I've got on my side, I've got an ice drink and a hot drink. And I believe, Jessica, you also have a hot drink and an ice drink together.
Yeah, I do.
So based on those Midwest summers, whether you got a nice, cool, breezy day, or if you got a hot day with the humidity, we've got different ways to cool you down or warm you up.
Exactly. So we're going to kick everything off today with something that I think is a little bit unconventional because I've never seen it. I'm actually going to put these lavender buds inside of an aeropress. Ooh. So I'm going to make it kind of just fragranced by the lavender buds.
Right on.
One of the reasons why I chose this ingredient is because it's something that grows in my garden. So it's something that I can actually go ahead and pick and dry out these beautiful lavender buds. They're extremely aromatic, and it's really nice to be able to relax with some lavender essence coffee.
Man.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pre-wet my AeroPress filters, as we've discussed in the past. So I put 2 filters on the bottom of this today. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I put the 2 filters is because I really don't want any fines to get through in the coffee that I'm brewing. After I did that, I'm going to go ahead and put the filter right on the bottom of the AeroPress.
Sweet.
Whoop, whoop. All right. So now that we've done that, I'm going to tear out my scale. I'm going to get my lavender buds, and I'm going to get 18 grams of medium ground coffee. So I ground this at an 8 on our Malconin grinder. Before I do that, though, if I were to pull up on this right now, it would actually mess with the suction of the filter below. So I need to backtrack a little bit. So I'm going to take this off, and then I'll remove the plunger.
Or else those filters would have just been ripped up into that chamber.
Exactly.
And then we would have had to redo the whole thing.
So it was kind of a happy little accident.
Wow.
Kind of like a happy little tree.
Happy little tree, squirrels, little friends.
So I have this 18 grams of medium ground green dragon. To this, I am going to add 2 grams of lavender buds. I can smell it already. It smells so good.
Right on. And I feel like now too, if you don't have lavender growing in your garden, it's pretty easy to source these at just like your average supermarket now too. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like in your spice aisle, anything like that. So if you don't know where to get it, just check out your local grocery store. They should have them in that spice aisle.
Exactly. So now that I've done this, I'm going to add 50 grams of water all at once. It's really important that I add all of this water all at once. And as soon as I add the water, I added a little extra. That's okay, no worries. I'm going to stir it vigorously. So I'm going to stir it vigorously for about 15 seconds. I really want those lavender buds to get inside of this brew. Can you smell it already?
Yeah,
wow.
It's enveloping this entire space. I love it. So relaxing.
It sure is. And that's one of the things that I really love about adding aromatics to coffee is that it is really relaxing to be able to enjoy this. So I decided that I was going to make you an unsweetened beverage today. I think it's really nice and refreshing to be able to offer things that aren't sweetened. And not everyone is able to eat sugar. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to give something to you. So today I'm going to take this off of here. And then I'm going to add some ice to this.
Sweet. Yeah, because a lot of times, even at our cafes, the lavender latte that we have is a simple syrup. So it's going to be inherently sweet. But this is awesome that you don't have to have any excess sugar if you don't want to.
Yeah, I was thinking about my grandma Jeanette when I made this recipe. She has diabetes, and this is something that she would be able to drink. And
That's
I think
awesome.
that's really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So just remember, when you're making recipes at home, you can modify them to what you would like to enjoy. So today I'm using oat milk. You can use whole milk. You can use some almond milk.
Hazelnut.
It really doesn't matter. The possibilities are endless.
Maybe yak's milk?
Yak's milk. I've heard good things.
So now I'm going to pour this oat milk right on top of that lavender espresso that I made. Yummy. And look at this beautiful coloration.
Wow.
I love stopping to appreciate this kind of thing.
The mixture of it is incredible.
Heck yeah. Now we're going to give that a nice stir.
I'll do it. Ooh.
And then after we give it a nice stir, we can separate these into cups so that we can enjoy it.
Right on. I'm going to grab
Obviously,
said cups.
the most exciting part is being able to enjoy it at the end.
Sweet. Move this out of the
I'll
way.
try to do this without spilling.
It's all about committing. It's the commitment.
It helps
Oh,
that,
no spills?
Yeah, it helps that I pour a lot of things. But now the final enjoyment. There's even some for Drew.
Aw.
This is really nice, and it's just a hint of lavender. It's not lavender forward, and that's something that I like to tell everyone about this. But it's just a little bit. It's enough of that aromatic that you can sit back, relax, enjoy what you're drinking, and really kind of benefit from the aromatherapy of the lavender buds.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy the fact that the flavors that we're putting in aren't trying to drive the bus. Like coffee is still driving that bus, but these different flavors are kind of the rambunctious kids in the back. They're just making it an enjoyable time, or maybe unenjoyable, depending on where you're sitting.
Another thing that I would like to do with this recipe when I'm at home is make it decaffeinated. So like in our previous video that we did about brewing espresso at home, you can go ahead and use our decaf green bike or decaf cream city in this beverage, and it's going to taste so smooth, so creamy, so good.
Yeah, I'm big into the decaf, especially now that we got that Swiss water.
It's delicious.
Woo! All right.
What are we going to do next? I'm going to get you some water ready while you talk about it.
Thank you. All right, so my first recipe is super traditional, something that you've probably heard of before. In some cafes, they call it like a cafe miel, which is Spanish for honey. So ultimately what I made is this honey and cinnamon simple syrup, which you can make at home. It is equal parts hot water, equal parts hot water, honey, and then about 5 grams of cinnamon or a teaspoon. And what I did is I mixed that all up. I stirred it up, make sure everything was combined, and we're just going to add that to a cup of coffee, which is, it's going to be sweetened, but it's honey, so it's a little bit more natural than your refined sugars. But ultimately, I'm looking for something that kind of reminds me of like a breakfast oatmeal. I called this the oatmeal brekkie latte.
That sounds delicious.
So usually I would do it just with black coffee, but then we're going to throw some oat milk on top just so you can kind of have that traditional, I think we were talking about it last time, how at certain coffee shops you can say double and you get 2 sugars, 2 creams, so that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm really excited for this. I love cafe miel. It's so delicious.
All right, so what we're doing today, I'm just making around 8 ounces, a little bit over 8 ounces of coffee, and we're going to mix it all together. So I've got our 21 grams of our Green Dragon ground on 15 here at our the EK43. First, I'm going to turn my scale on because that's important.
Definitely helps to be able to use your scale. It's not just a prop, we promise.
Oh, yes. So then I've got about 22 grams in there, and we're going to be filling it up to around 315 grams. So I'm going to start this timer. We're going to bloom that coffee, get rid of those excess gases. And as I said, or as I did before, maybe you saw the filter is wet, and I believe, Jessica, you did that with the aeropress as well. And the reason we wet that filter is to get that paper taste out of there, but so also important. Very important, it's also important to make sure that there's no water being displaced by the extra water you're putting on that coffee, because you want everything you're putting in there to go on that coffee and to saturate it. So we're getting a nice 30-second bloom, and we're going to fill her up to 315. Wait for her to go down, and then we're going to throw in that nice simple syrup that we made. And that simple syrup, If you refrigerate it, it'll last for about 2 weeks in your fridge. So you can always make a larger batch, and you can have enough to make every morning if you like it. If you don't, switch it up. Try different things. Try different flavors in there if you want to go for a cinnamon nutmeg flavor. Anything like that.
You could put this in other things too. You could throw this in some cold brew. You could put it in some lemonade.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless with simple syrups, and that's one of the reasons why I love making them at home. And the other really cool things about simple syrup is that you can use whatever kind of sweetener you'd like. You could use honey. You could use demerara sugar.
Yep.
You could use white sugar. Really, the possibilities are always endless with drink creation.
Yeah, and you have all those yak sugar, exactly. So I'm just putting 5 grams of this simple syrup in here while we're waiting. Oh, that's way too many. Let's go back. Hey, we're all about just revisiting. Happy little accident.
Exactly. Happy accident.
Wipe the side so we don't get any.
And I would like to note, one of these things that I really like about the Acaia scales is that it has that built-in timer. And that built-in timer allows you to have 2 things going on at once. You don't have to get your phone out to turn the timer on. It's right on the scale.
There you go.
We also have Brewista scales that we offer, and those are also really cool scales.
Yeah. Any kind of any scales that have like that ability to time. It's very viscous. But that's part of it. It's honey, so it's going to kind of harden as it cools down. But ultimately, it's going to warm back up with that coffee, and we're just going to get a nice little tasty brew. Almost done here.
The anticipation is building. Oh my gosh.
Another cool thing about these Acaia scales, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but these can connect to your phone via Bluetooth, and you can walk away and check the time from a different room, which is gnarly and so much fun.
Especially if you have a toddler. You can, you can go check on what your toddler's doing and finish brewing your delicious coffee.
All right, let's get this going.
Ooh, I haven't tried this yet, so I'm really excited.
So we'll just start out. Sorry, Drew, do you want me to get you? I'll put a little bit in there, a little spoonful. Are you sure?
I'm not a real person.
You're just a camera today.
Well, that tastes like a meow.
So I didn't want it to overpower. I wanted that coffee to still come through like really, really loud.
Yeah, it's nice.
And if black coffee is not your thing, throw some oat milk in there, throw some yak's milk in there, throw some almond milk. All of it is good just to kind of add that creaminess, but also to bring the temperature down just a little bit if you want to drink it right away.
Yeah, and I think it's also really important to note that there's a lot of creaminess here, and we haven't added any cream to this drink. So that's really cool thing about coffee is that it's a truly nuanced experience. The way that we source and roast our coffee is intended so that you can enjoy it with or without cream, with or without flavoring, however you want to enjoy it. And I think that's something that's really special.
With or without yaks.
Depends on if you have any yaks in your backyard.
Well, thanks. That was really good.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we got next?
Now we have another V60.
Oh!
Woo! I need to get some water quick.
I'll get that for you.
Thank you. So this recipe is going to be a rosemary honey V60. And kind of like the lavender drink was based off of a drink here at Stone Creek, this one is too. So this was actually inspired by a rosemary honey latte, but if you're anything like me, you don't always have time to make a rosemary honey simple syrup. So instead of making a rosemary honey simple syrup, I'm gonna make it inside of this V60. Mind-blowing, I know.
Whoa.
So what I'm gonna need to do, and I really need to think about this so that I don't make the same mistake I did when I was practicing this recipe, is when I wet the filter, I'm gonna wanna make sure that all of this water is removed.
Oh,
because I'm going to put my honey right at the bottom of this.
Right on.
So I'm going to need to rely on the coffee hitting the honey to melt the honey. So
no need for
I'm going to tear out my
honey.
scale, and I'm going to add 10 grams of honey. Oh, it's so fun to watch. But it's really dense, so a little goes a long way.
Oh yeah, I love those little what are they? The honeycomb, the ones like
those are so cool. This is close enough. I got 9.7 grams. That's perfect. So now I'm going to want to put my V60 right on top of that vessel,
Nice
tear it out,
pre-rinsed.
and I'm going to add 26 grams of coffee that I grounded to 15, which is medium coarse. It's the same Green Dragon Costa Rica. After I add that and give it a little shake to flatten out the bed, now I'm going to do something really exciting.
Whoa.
So I have this rosemary here.
Oh my
And what I'm going to
gosh.
do is actually strip this into the brew. But as I strip these rosemary leaves into it, I'm going to break them up a little bit with my hand to express some of the essential oils that's inside of here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use a full sprig of
smells so
rosemary for this.
That smells so good. I love the combination of that, because usually rosemary is used for like savory dishes, but
Yeah.
having it with the coffee and with that honey, there's something that gets brought out that I just never noticed before having something like this.
Yeah, exactly.
I super appreciate that combination.
And I mean, like I was saying, coffee is very nuanced. It's the perfect vehicle to making beverages that are really complex.
Yeah. I'm just going to get my schnoz on this.
It smells
so
delicious.
clean, too.
It does.
Clean and refreshing.
So this particular sprig had about 1.4 grams-ish. The other sprig that I used yesterday had 2. If you do anything from 1 to 2 grams, it's going to put you in a really good spot for this recipe. So we're good to go to the next step. Now I'm going to go ahead and tear this out again, and I'm going to bloom my coffee. So I'm going to add 70 grams of water.
That's so cool.
I'm going to need my little spoon so that I can excavate. Oh, it already smells so fragrant here, everyone. I wish that we had smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision.
So that I could share it with you. So now I'm going to excavate my brew. Just move that around twice.
What's the excavation for?
So the reason why we like to do the excavation is because it helps break up that little puck of coffee that got on the bottom from the bloom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add 420 grams of water total.
Sweet.
I would like to note that this uses slightly less coffee than our typical V60 recipe, and that's because of the additions that I made to it. I actually kind of want to make this drink taste like a tea, and I think that you guys will find that it does kind of taste like tea, and I think that's super rad.
Yeah. I love that combination of like being able to use something that's traditionally used as like for decades coffee's been had with that like coffee, like you're expecting that coffee, but if you're looking for that kind of thinner bodied, more essenced coffee,
yeah, we can do that.
So good.
And I also ground this slightly coarser than we would. So instead of a 14, I used a 15. It seems like it's not a big difference, but it is. Why? Because I put additions in here. So since I added this rosemary, I don't want the fines to get stuck at the bottom and prevent all this this beautiful liquid from drawing through. It's bubbling. It looks fun too.
Anticipating or like the anxiety-inducing part. You're just like, come on, I'm ready.
How's it gonna turn out?
Yep.
Something else that you could do is make a rosemary lavender honey coffee. So I could have actually thrown some lavender buds in here with that rosemary.
Oh my
gosh. And it would be divine.
The convergence of worlds.
Thank you, because now I'm going to need to vigorously stir this as soon as I take this V60 off and it starts brewing, just because I want to make sure that that honey is evenly dispersed throughout the drink.
Which it should be since it was at the bottom and we're putting that hot coffee on there. It's good that it's been dissolving that whole time. So it's going to be a lot easier than if you were to throw honey in like a cold drink or something like that.
Wow, this is almost a perfect 420 grams. Almost.
Just push down on the table, maybe.
The perfect golden ratio. Woo-hoo. All right, we did it. So now I'm going to give this a nice stir. Give it a whirl. Oh, again, I just keep smelling it. It smells so great. It smells like we put some essential oils in here. And we did, but they were fresh from the garden.
That's so crazy.
Ooh.
Wow.
Risky business over here with this pouring today.
And at least it smells good, so if it spills.
Here's some for Drew to try.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is so good. I really love it.
Oh, wow.
It's just very refreshing.
Wow, yes. I love that.
I would also like to note that the honey that we're using is local honey from Kalas. I really love their honeys, and they offer a really large line of different kinds of honeys, anywhere from clover honey to different types of flowers. So I think that that's super cool.
That's awesome.
This is Thanksgiving coffee.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, that rosemary definitely reminds me of that kind of.
Gives me like an Easter vibe.
Yeah. Yep.
I could just drink that all
I know.
day.
I could just keep drinking it. Okay.
I have not tried this iced yet. I would think really, really delicious iced. You rosemary honey simple syrup at home. The reason why I didn't do that is because I would have needed to use a burner today. So for a rosemary honey simple syrup, you're going to add equal parts honey and water, and then actually cook that rosemary in that mixture for about 30 minutes before taking the rosemary out and cooling it down.
Got it.
But that's one way that you can make a rosemary honey simple syrup at home.
Sweet. Oh, all about making those homemade
So
simple
good.
syrups. Woo, saving money, but also they're just like so much cleaner and nice.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Last but not least,
Woohoo!
we've got an espresso tonic. So an orange espresso tonic. So I know the last time I was really into the oranges, still into the oranges because they're so fresh. So we're going to use the same recipe that I used last time for the espresso. So we're going to be making an espresso shot with our aeropress. And I made this, we used the spice bottle last time. I made this dinky little but very effective tamp for the aeropress. So if you're interested in figuring out how to do that, I'm more than happy to share. But right now, just going to take this, rinse her out, make sure that we got a full rinse on that filter. And if you remember from last time, this is different from your standard aeropress because we're going to be putting a second filter on top of the puck that we press down. So I'm going to rinse that, and then I'm also going to rinse this and try not to burn my fingers.
We're all about doing things differently here at Stone Creek and also offering you different ways that you can brew coffee at home.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's really cool that Joshua and I have used different AeroPress recipes the past few weeks.
Yeah, and even in the same day, which is great.
It's awesome.
So we're just getting this set up here. Where did I put my cuppy? I'm going to grab my little cup here. Yeah, that's perfect. I thought I had one and I didn't. But here we are. So we got this set up on our scale. We're going to put in 18 grams of our Green Dragon, which is ground on a 4 on the EK43, which is what we did for the last AeroPress espresso. Just going to try to make sure everything gets in there and nothing on the outside.
And a little bit of a note about this. This is from one of our Farm to Cup partners. We've worked with the farmers at Micro Beneficio Cerro Paraguas for about 7 years now. And they're just a really great group of people.
That's
Green
awesome.
Dragon Costa Rica is perfect, versatile coffee for any time of year.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're using this very cool tamp made by yours truly. And we're going to slowly send this filter down the chute. And once it gets to the bottom, we're just going to put a little bit of pressure, and then I'm going to lift and see if I can get that to stick down there. No! You know what?
This is the fun thing about
That's what coffee's all
experimenting
about.
and trying new things.
There we go. We got it.
Yay! Just takes a little effort.
We're going to bring that to the shop.
AeroPlus plunger.
All right. So then we're putting in our 60 grams of water on top. And the reason we're putting that secondary filter on top because the water that I'm putting in right now, I don't want that to mess up that bed of grounds that we so nicely tamped. So I'm putting in the 60 grams. I forgot to tare it before, but either way, putting in that 60 grams of water on top. We're just going to let it sit for a few seconds, but because we tamped it down, it's going to have a little bit of back pressure. So I'm going to have to push decently hard here to get a good extraction from this coffee. So right now, the puck of coffee is being pressed in between those two filters. And since the water has to go through those two filters and that pressed cup, wow, use your words, Joshua. Through that pressed puck of coffee, it's just taking a little bit longer than if we were to make it in a V60 or just a standard AeroPress because those grounds would be free floating normally, but right now we've got them condensed into a small puck.
And again, look at how much darker this is in color than the one that I brewed a little bit ago. You can see that tamp really made a difference. And this whole brew method is going to taste different, even though it used the same kind of brewer.
Yes.
There's a lot of versatility with the brew methods that you have at home. So even if you just have an AeroPress, there's so many different ways to make an AeroPress.
And it's important to know too, if you are wanting a stronger espresso on the other end of this, you can tamp it a little harder. You can have like the ways that you can adjust the way you make your coffee. If you tamp a little harder, or if you grind your coffee a little bit smaller, anything like that works. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take our cups here, and we're going to put in 5 grams of our Demerara sugar, or brown sugar.
Yummy. Did you use light brown sugar or
I did
dark
use
brown
light.
sugar? That looks light to me.
It's very light.
It would still be delicious with dark brown sugar too. It's just going to have a little bit more of a heavier molasses type flavor.
Yep. I want a little bit of that savory molasses flavor, but I just didn't want it to overpower the orange.
Yeah, exactly. And molasses can be very overpowering. So if you are using dark brown sugar, you might want to adjust the amount of sugar that you're putting in by just a little bit, depending on what you're going for.
Yep, absolutely. So I just put it in the shot glass because it's way easier to pour. I'm just going to save a little bit for Drew there too. Going to mix this up. And one thing to note when you're making any kind of espresso with tonic water or any kind of sparkling water is when the espresso and the sparkling water meet, makes a really crazy reaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to juice this orange real quick, and we're going to try to mix in that orange with the espresso first to reduce that reaction. So I'm just going to give this a nice little squish and a turn. We're only putting in 1 ounce, or a half ounce of this orange juice. Fresh squeezed if you can. Nice fresh orange juice.
Fresh squeezed Florida orange juice at Stone Creek Coffee.
So then we're putting in a little bit, just about a half ounce in there. We don't want it to overpower the coffee. We just want it to essence, if that's the word we're going to use. We don't want it to be an orange juice tonic. We want it to be espresso. We're going to mix that up.
A smidge, a
skosh, as some people say. We're going to fill her up with our ice, if I can get it out. Woo!
You could use a spoon.
Oh yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I love espresso tonic. So the idea that I can make this at home is just awesome.
And then this is it. Put in your San Pellegrino, your Topo Chico, your LaCroix. Even if you want to experiment with different flavors of your tonic water, that'll all just change the experience and add to it, which is awesome. I've done like an orange and a raspberry before.
Ooh,
stuff
that
like that.
Delicious.
It's very, very good. And I'm just going to give her a quick stir here.
And different sparkling waters taste different from one another.
Yes.
Just like different brands of bottled water taste different. So like he was saying, try different kinds. Try Topo Chico. Try San Pel. You can even put LaCroix in. The world is your oyster for sparkling water.
I like oysters. Oysters are good.
Here, Drew, I can give you a little bit more.
Oh, this is really nice, and it's not too sweet. I'm really big on drinks that aren't too sweet, just because I really like to taste everything else. And this is so nice and refreshing.
Very
I feel
refreshing.
like it's spring.
Yes.
Spring is here at last.
Finally.
It's sunny out today too. We're so excited.
Oh my goodness. I could use that 70-degree weather again, that's for sure.
And you can make all these as camping, like I had mentioned. Yep. I know I'm really looking forward to going camping for the first time with my husband and our son this year.
Oh, yes.
And I'll probably take my AeroPress with me just to make some of these recipes.
Yeah, absolutely. Why only make French press? Why only make mocha pot? If you can have all these different ways, you can try different things while you're out and about. So that's kind of, that's kind of the story behind this whole thing. We want to make sure that you can experience different things other than the standard, and that's awesome. And you can do it from home too, which is awesome.
Not only awesome, but super exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
You can kind of be your own coffee scientist right in your kitchen or next to your tent, wherever you might be. You can make drinks that you enjoy to your liking.
Yep.
And we're here to help you do that.
Yes, definitely. You can pass these drinks down generations. It's all yours. So try it out, try different things, and we're here to help you, like Jessica said.
Yeah, and let us know if you're trying these. So tag us on Instagram, leave a comment on our YouTube, let us know on Facebook what you think. We want to see what you're brewing. We want to see what you're making with this delicious coffee.
Yes.
Since I source the coffee, I really love to see what people are doing with the coffees that we source. And our partners do too. And if you put those things on Instagram, it's not only us at Stone Creek who can see it, it might also be the producer that we purchased the coffee from. And I think it's really awesome for everything to come full circle in that way.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you as always so much for joining us today. We hope that you have an awesome day.
Yeah.
Please reach out to customers at stonecreekcoffee.com if you have any questions for us. We're always here to help.
All right. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you.
Bye.
It's the fun.